probably at some point played Wii Sports. Came out in 2006, everyone basically played it, put motion controls on the proverbial map, ring any bells? Most likely. I mean, Wii Play certainly wasn't gonna do it, and we were years before Mario sports games were gonna utilize motion controls, so it was just you, this weird new controller remote thing, the Miis, and whatever sport suited your fancy. You got tennis, baseball, boxing, golf, and bowling. Small little game, sure, but the replay value was certainly there. Then, a few years later, when people found out that there wasn't a gyro in their standard issue Wii remotes, Nintendo released Wii Sports Resort, which had way more games and basically was there to show off the new one-to-one motion controls of the Motion Plus add-on. Many new sports were added, like sword fighting, archery, and plenty more. Many of the same classics were there too, like a redone bowling, which, for the life of me feels pretty identical to the original Wii Sports bowling, but whatever, I mean, it's still bowling. Obviously, all the games, including the re-released ones, had more control nuance packed in, so that had to be taken into consideration. It cemented Woohoo Island, the new setting for the game, as being a new favorite Nintendo location that they reuse in the 3DS generation of games. But as we got further away from the original Wii Sports, we could kinda see Nintendo losing the initial blast of originality and cultural significance. After that, we had the Wii U system, and yeah, that era wasn't Nintendo's best. On Wii U was Wii Sports Club, which was basically originally pitched as a membership plan thing, like an online service, and then eventually just sold as an entire completed product, which, wasn't really all that big a deal. Wii Sports Club had the original sports from Wii Sports, but this time with gamepad-specific features, many of which kinda didn't really end up affecting the overall gameplay experience, at least in my opinion. They were neat novelties, I guess. I thought the Wii U gamepad was a huge missed opportunity when it came to software made for it, but at least Nintendo did try some ideas, every now and then. In this game, there's some. Not that they paid off all that much, but it's at least still something. Wii Sports Club also wanted to make you box with 2 Wii remotes at the same time, which is one of the first times I've ever seen dual-wielding Wii remotes as a gameplay concept, like in an official release product. And interestingly enough, I felt like it was just as accurate to the original Wii Sports, which had just used a nunchuck attachment, which definitely didn't have the same level of motion capacity that the remote did. And you know what? Actually, even sometimes, 2 Wii remotes felt less accurate than the Wii nunchuck combo. Maybe I wasn't playing it correctly, I don't know. Just Wii Sports Club boxing wasn't, I don't know, just didn't really feel right. Club, much like the Wii U overall, isn't all that well remembered, or remembered at all. It's just kinda bland, and didn't feature much to keep players coming back the same way the 2 previous Wii Sports titles did. So now that we're in the Switch era, Nintendo abandoned the Wii Sports namesake and finally produced Nintendo Switch Sports, which is also kinda, alright, I guess. Personally, I would have called it Miis Sports, but that's just me. But then again, Nintendo even designed new player avatars just for the game, of which I am not really a fan of anyway, but whatever. They're not terrible, I just find them highly generic. You can still use Miis though, thank God. Again, why not just opt for the Miis? I don't know why we needed these, but whatever. There's new sports, new control methods, but most importantly, there's still bowling. Everything feels pretty good, and you can tell Nintendo has been putting in more effort to keep things feeling familiar, while also refining core mechanics so that there's more to the title. Even the new sports, like volleyball, are surprisingly fun, but don't exactly seem as actively engaging as the core games. This is also yet another Nintendo game that they seem to release before it's really done, rather opting to finish it via free updates in the coming months and years post-release. They've been doing that with Mario sports games on Switch and some other titles too. I'm all for free updates, but this honestly is starting to get a little old and tiring now. Sure, one could say it's more strategy to keep the games relevant and in the headlines as they release new content, but really it just feels like the company is rushing out software in an attempt to avoid the drought of software that was felt during that dang old Wii U era. It's trauma from the past. But aside from that, the game is alright. Online is surprisingly fun, though there isn't much in terms of rankings or player achievements to keep dedicated players coming back for more. There is a little bit more than, say, in Clubhouse games online, but not all that much. I guess it's fine. A new Nintendo sports title. I guess that's good. But, what really is Nintendo attempting to do with these games anyhow? Is it just to experiment with motion controls? Nah. They've always been making sports games. It's not just because, there's motion in sports, so you want to put motion in the game. Trust me, that's not it. Maybe it's to create a new kind of game that, despite mimicking a sport in real life, kind of becomes its own thing, really. But no, that's definitely not their intent either, to be honest. The only time I've even really seen that is in the Strikers games, where instead of it just being Mario Soccer, it's whatever the Maniac Sport Strikers is. No, what I think is being done here is an attempt by Nintendo to be able to produce cheaper sports games and recreate the sense of wonder that the original Wii Sports did, but, with new audiences. And perhaps that would have been easier done if Switch Sports came out at the launch of the Nintendo Switch and was marketed like Wii Sports was at the launch of the Wii. But what's happening here is an attempt at bridging new experiences within the already tread-upon territory of the Switch catalog. You want to play tennis, golf, or weird wrestling soccer? Well, guess what? Those are already in the form of big, colorful Mario sports games on the Switch. They've got motion controls, single-player modes, Miis support, and more too. How about bowling? Well, you could have been playing Clubhouse games on the Switch too, which had previously the most recent Nintendo-published bowling simulator packaged inside. And the Clubhouse Games bowling is actually very much my favorite among all of the Wii Sports bowling sims, and I like them all, to be honest. So maybe the company wants to bring out all of these things together into a relatively cheaper package, one that more players can quickly identify with and enjoy, stroking that Wii Sports nostalgia itch. And that's okay, I guess.
Nice car!
But I just don't really feel the same desire to keep playing when I play Switch Sports than I did with Wii Sports. And sure, I was a kid when Wii Sports came out versus being a old, hobbled over goblin man nowadays, but still, I feel the comparison is fair. And many other people feel like this about Switch Sports. It's been documented well in reviews and media content made about the game. Its attempts at nostalgia bait are lifeless, and its attempts at attracting new players and incorporating fresh new gameplay ideas also, in my opinion, just don't quite satisfy. I'm sure that the game has found its audience, but I think the idealized vision of Nintendo Switch Sports just didn't land the way that the company probably wanted it to. If you still really want Switch Sports, go ahead and pick it up, but don't be super surprised if you find yourself less than enchanted by it. It's fine, but it's just fine. Much like previous Wii Sports games, but less connected and feeling more soulless at the same time. Perhaps Nintendo should stop chasing the dreams of its past and start looking at what has made the Switch extra successful already. High quality mainline series entry games and its handheld TV accessibility. It's time to put the Wii in the past and actually, embrace the Switch.
Finish. 1, 2. Game, set, now.